I'm gonna have Allison Gilman, come on down.
Hi everyone, my name is Allison Gilman. Making a difference is why I am doing this. The book that I brought up, that I put on the stage, is probably the thing that I'm most proud of besides my daughter. I have devoted my life to the law. I graduated law school at 21, and since then I have been trying cases. That book is filled with my blood, sweat, tears, my sleepless nights, my dreams, my holding hands with clients, and making a difference in their lives. It contains letters and cards from them thanking me for what I did that has changed their life. I have been inspired by judges, amazing, great judges. If you've ever met one, if you've ever been in a judge's courtroom that is inspiring, that doesn't just make rulings and make decisions, you can be a good judge, but then you can be a great judge. And that's the opportunity that you have when you are blessed to be voted to be a judge. You have the opportunity to make a difference in a lot of people's lives. As a foster parent, which I have been throughout my life, I've made a difference in children's lives, I make a difference in my clients' lives, and now I would like to make a difference in Broward County. So I am asking on August 28th if you would consider voting for Allison Gilman, Group 19. Thank you so much.
And the next contender, it's John Jack Phillips, come on down.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is John Jack Phillips. I'm a resident of Fort Lauderdale almost 30 years. I've been involved in the Beach Environmental Association. I was on the Code Enforcement Board for 6.5 years. I'm on the Unsafe Structure. I'm involved with my Harbor Inlet Association, Point Sienna Park. I used to own Brownie's Tavern on Andrews, where I had a management team run it for me. But I've done civil and criminal law for over 30 years. I've done every case I've ever appeared before me in county court. I mentioned my civic involvement, and I think it's very important. The Council of Civic Associations, I've had the pleasure of dealing with them going way back. And I'd like to invite you to look at my website to tell a little about myself. I raised my 2 children here. My son's at St. Thomas. My daughter just got out of FAU. I'm involved in the Boy Scouts at Troop 190. And I'm admitted to Florida, New Jersey, New York, and Colorado. And I do contested civil litigation both in state and federal courts. I've done every type of case in criminal court that would appear before me as your county court judge. I'm honored to have met my 2 colleagues I'm running against. I think we'd all do a good job. I think I bring something different, exposure and experience, highly technical trial litigation in both criminal and civil. The Code Enforcement and Unsafe Structure Board, I've had thousands of quasi-judicial evidentiary trials over 13 years as a volunteer. And with that, I think my time is up. Thank you.
And we have Jackie Powell. Come on down. Whoa. There you go. You can have fun with us.
Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Jackie Powell, and I am your candidate for County Court in Group 19. The Sun Sentinel in their endorsement, and I quote, said, Jackie Powell is the best candidate of the 3 in this race. And I agree with them. I agree with them because prior to attending law school, I was a paralegal for almost 10 years. And so I got to see, outside of the court, the regular, as an attorney, I got to see the law from that end of the spectrum. And then I went to law school. When I started law school, my daughter was 7, my son was 4. I went to law school full-time, worked part-time, and I graduated on time. The day the bar results came out, the bar results came out at noon was the day that I started working at the Broward County Public Defender's Office. I was hired on the spot. I worked there for 8 years, then I went into private practice in a private firm for 5 years. Today I manage my own firm practicing in the areas of family law and criminal defense. I have extensive experience working in the community. Young people is my passion. I've been mentoring young people middle school to high school, making sure that they stay in school and even beyond college. My name is Jackie Powell, County Court Judge, Group 19.
All right. Allison, much to your credit, you started maybe the first all-female law firm in Broward County. I don't know if it was the first or not. And it was way ahead of its time. You know, it even had a kind of a Charlie's Angel-esque type of a marketing approach. And my question to you, though, is your practice is with women, mostly about women. What I think people in the audience want to know, specifically men, is will they get a fair shake?
That's an excellent question, Howard.
Thank you.
Yes, it is true. I started and grew an all-female law firm. I did have a few men that worked with us. There's just a lot of estrogen in the office. But I inspired a lot of women to open up their own practices and work for themselves, which I'm very proud of. But I can certainly tell you, being an all-female firm, it drew a lot of men to us as clients, because unfortunately a lot of men are accused of crimes by women, and I think it goes to their advantage at times to have a female representing them, because if I believe them, and I'm cross-examining a victim or a woman, whether it's a family case or whatever type of case, and it's a woman, it goes a little bit better, and I think it seems more credible, and I can relate to those issues better than a man. So certainly a male coming to me, coming before me, would have just as good of an opportunity as a woman.
Jack, I've known you also for a real long time. And usually when people run for judge, you know, they go to their friends who are lawyers and they hit them up for $100 or $500. I noticed that you've taken kind of a different path, but my question to you is, you wrote a book, and in your book you advise people on how to sue their lawyer. Do you think that's the reason why lawyers may be not willing to donate, and more importantly,
I don't care.
more importantly, tell us why you wrote that book that most people need to read.
Can I ask you a question?
No.
I was going to ask him, how many members in the Florida Freshwater Game and Fish Commission? Because when I moved down from Jersey in '81, that was one of the questions in the bar exam, and I got it right. Howard, seriously though,
So how many are there?
I do have people that have donated to my campaign, if you update it. I had a lot of lawyers that say, Jack, I didn't know you were part of it. I wish I knew, my God. That's okay. I wrote a book, How and When to Sue Your Lawyer, A Layperson's Guide to Legal Malpractice. I've carried malpractice insurance for 30 years. Never had to use it. I invite everyone, by the way, to ask your lawyer if he or she has malpractice insurance. If I make a mistake, I don't want the client to be victimized. It's not fair. We have car insurance. If we're in an accident, it covers if I make a mistake. The book that I wrote, along with the deceased gentleman, we outlined the various areas of legal malpractice, because I've been involved in litigation in all those areas. Real estate, not picking a proper expert witness, failing to disclose witnesses, not proving your case in court. In real estate, not getting something recorded, having an improper legal description. In divorce actions, not using a valuation expert for family. So lawyers and judges are held to a very high standard. And I don't care if lawyers are angry at me. Because a lot of lawyers say, Jack, it's a great book. We need someone like you to call it the way it is. So if it's a pro-client aspect, I'm very proud of it. Thank you.
Jackie, we've also known each other for a long time. And I had spoken to this group before you guys came in about, in Broward County, we have a serious problem lacking racial diversity on the bench. My question to you is, why is racial diversity important? What impact does it have, not just on the people in front of them, but tell me how it changes the other judges.
All right, that's a deep question. Why? Why is there a diversity on the bench? Well, you know, I believe, and I've said before, that oftentimes minorities don't run. And I don't know if it's because of the cost, I don't know if it's because of the fear, I don't know if it's because of the trend that has been what it is before, but certainly we do need to have more people putting, and you know, it's tough putting yourself out there, and so a lot of people are afraid of doing that. And so it is very important that we do have diversity on the bench, because I believe that we need as many people on the bench who are able to relate to Broward County residents. Broward County is such a diverse, large county, and we need people on the bench who are able to relate to all walks of life.
Thanks, Jen. Now, I have a question for each one of you. This is a very interesting group that has a lot going on outside of the courtroom. Allison, you were a foster parent. Tell me how that changed you.
When I decided to become a foster mom, I had learned, as I just said, I devoted my life to the law and kind of past my prime age, that I couldn't have children of my own. And it was pretty heartbreaking, but I wanted to turn a negative into a positive. And there were children out there, kids and animals, they're my weakness. There were children out there that needed me, and I knew I could give back. And I decided to be a foster parent. And I can tell you, it is when a child comes to you, I mean, it's hard raising your own child, it's hard raising someone else's kid, but raising a child that has been the victim their whole lives of physical and mental abuse, and what I have seen is heartbreaking for them and for you, because you are dealing with horrible, horrible situations. They come to you empty, they have nothing inside. And it is your responsibility and your privilege to fill them up with the love, the inspiration, so they can go on and achieve a better life. I've had, my main foster son was with me for 5 years, and I was able to reunite him with his mother. And it was the hardest thing that I ever had to do, especially because I didn't have children of my own. You know, you wonder, is it fair? Because someone who can have children, they don't take care of them, and people that can't want them. But it was wonderful.
Jack, you also have a life outside of law that I know about, and that there are probably many people in this room that have spent hours in one of your establishments. Could you just share with us, you know, the fullness of you?
My 2 children, I've been a single parent for the past decade. My daughter graduated FAU last week. It's a miracle. I'm not going to go into this. No, there's issues. My son's a sophomore in high school. I work 70, 80 hours a week. I used to have 2 buildings down by Ronald McDonald House, and I would walk 2 of my dogs across the street to Brownie's for a sarsaparilla, and I wound up representing it. And I wound up buying it, and I bought the corner. I subsequently sold it to Tap 42, whom I represent. And at the time, I tried to buy the building, and so I had to choose between raising 2 kids, law practice. I had Brownies. I went through college and law school bartending in an old 1890s hotel in a town called Spring Lake, New Jersey. I'm a self-made person, no loans, no money from my parents. Not that they wouldn't give it. I went to William & Mary, I was a swimmer. I went to Seton Hall Law, I came down. I got an MBA for fun here at FAU. And I ran Brownie's Tavern. I made it nicer. I put in booths, a full kitchen. I had a complement of 10 or 15 female employees at any one time, also with men, and I bought the building next door. For 15 years I ran that, and the Sun Sentinel said, well, I ran a bar while I pursued law. It was full-time law, I had management, and I enjoyed using that to try to create another business. So, not one dram shop case there. So, and we had excellent food. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Jackie, a large part of your life is spent in church, working with the church. Please share with the people here why that's so important, and tell us how God in your life will manifest in your behavior in the courtroom.
Howard, it is who I am and what I am and what I've been doing. And it's not only about the church. I started working in church. It became my first platform to be able to work with young people. And so outside of that, I've grown a lot. It is important, for me, the spiritual part of it is important, but it's not just the only part. And so when I tell you that I am passionate about young people, it's not only young people in the church, it's young people in the community that I've been working with. We pull them in from off the streets and we help them. And this week, I received a call from a young man who graduated medical school. And he's still a resident, he still has his residency in Broward County, and he tells me, Jackie, I requested my vote by mail because I wanted to make sure that I voted for you because of the impact you had on my life. And he said me something that we helped them when we were talking about a career, and he put it up and saying he wanted to be a medical doctor, and today he's accomplished that. It is very important that when people come in the courtroom that they are confident that there is going to be a person who will listen to all sides. And I believe that that's what that has given me. It has allowed me to sit in the seat as a mediator, even though it was not mediation. And so now I know that when people come before me, I'll be listening to all sides before making a decision. Won't make it based on who they are, what they are. I'll be making it based on the facts that will be presented.
And those are your impressive candidates in this round.